Hey guys, it's surprised to hear from me. At the end of this podcast, I'll leave it alone for a couple of days, let it mellow, and then I'm going to take down some of my older podcasts. So if you haven't got them, don't worry. Just email me or tweet me on Twitter if you want to hear them. I don't know. They're crap, so, I don't know if you want to listen or not. But I'm gonna download them and I'm gonna put them in a file on my computer and I'm gonna keep them there. And I'm gonna do that for as many times as I have to as I take podcasts down and put up new ones. So I had a bit of a breakdown today, so I thought I'd talk about some of my issues. As if we all didn't know I had issues. A guy said he loved me, but he meant it in like a friend way. You know how you say I love you, man, and that kind of thing? That's what he meant. But in my head, I automatically went and I told him, you can't love me. And he said, why? And I was like, you don't know me. And from there, it just kind of deteriorated. All those posts about Connie, yeah, she told me off today, which actually made me feel better because Connie doesn't talk to me like she used to, so I don't know how to help her. I didn't know if there was actually something wrong or if she was okay, But she finally sat down and talked to me, so I feel better about that, and the anger I felt towards her is gone as well. And so back to the guy. I think I get kind of anxious when I can't talk to people, and he's the first person I've talked to in a long time, and I just kind of, lost it. I started crying on the phone, and, I don't cry much, at least not in public or where people who don't know me can hear me or something like that. I try not to. So generally, if you see me crying in public, it just means I'm having a really, 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 really sucky day. And so I wanted to talk about my personal space issues, the germophobia, the hand issue that I've got going on, the thing about not putting anything on my hands and feet. The touching is another problem that I have, which is weird for me because when I want to touch people, my hands or my skin just itches, or if I want to hug somebody, it's like telling me hug somebody. It's just that feeling. So yeah, there's that. And so I just kind of, I feel okay now that I've gotten it all out and I've talked to somebody about it that wasn't a therapist. But I don't know how much longer I can take this. I've been lonely for a long time, and I haven't mentioned it to anybody. I don't go out in public because I don't like my body or myself. When it comes to like my disabilities or any kind of issue I've got going on, I can't accept it, so I don't go out. But it's nice to have a friend to actually talk to on the phone. I don't know what is wrong with you people. Why do you want to text so much? Why do you want to send a Facebook message so much? Why? What is so different and better about text than talking face to face or talking on the phone? What is so much better? I don't get it, And so I would, just like to take a moment and talk about how I'm feeling, since I feel kind of mellow enough to where I'm not crying or wanting to cry. So for many of you, I think I spoke earlier in like podcasts of days past briefly about Sky, who was an online boyfriend that I did have for many, many years. I mean, we had been friends for 3 or 4 years, and we've been together for 2. And then I found out he had cancer, and I wasn't gonna leave him, but he wants me to, and I don't want to, And then out of nowhere, about a year ago, he just stops talking to me completely. And I had just lost my father, and so losing him made it even more compact for me. And so now reaching out to others and talking to others about my problems and the things that I feel has become difficult. Touching other people has become difficult. Hearing the words, "I love you," has become difficult for me. Being around other people has become exceedingly difficult, more difficult than it already was. And so as this continues, I walk around with a heavy heart. I don't want people to be like me and be woo with me and the depressing shit I put on Facebook. And so there's that. And the one thing I looked forward to all year was Akon. And I was going to save a bunch of money, and I was going to rent out a hotel room. But then my mom lost her job, and I know I've spoken on this before at least. My mom lost her job, and I couldn't save the money, and I couldn't get the hotel room. And so all that's been squashed. And then my aunt's got whatever issues she's got going on right now. And then my uncle's got his continuing issues. My mom's got her issues. Y'all gonna have to forgive me. It is almost 2 a.m. and I'm on the computer and I'm tired. So you're gonna have to forgive me for the yawn. If I seem really quiet, it's just I've been really mellow, sort of, since I had my crying spell. So yeah, I just wanted to take a moment and talk about my issues and where they stem from, and also I wanted to talk about love. And I don't have much experience with it. I've never held hands with a boy. I've never kissed a boy. I've had online relationships, but physical relationships just weren't a possibility I opened myself to. Whether it be a girl who just wants to be a friend or a boy, I've never opened myself to that physical communication between us. Which is why when I was in high school, I started to ask my guy friends and my girlfriends for hugs. It wasn't because I was ugly, and it wasn't because I felt like nobody really cared for me. It was because I was working on getting used to that physical contact. And when I have kids, I'm not going to be like my mother. My mother gives these one-arm hugs because she's not a big hugger. She's not one to say I love you a lot. But she'll show you that she loves you in a way that is completely different than what you expect. So yeah, I'd ask my friends for hugs and kisses on the cheek, and it wasn't because I thought it was ugly or because I was that friend. They'll be like, "Can I get a hug?" Where my hug at, baby? Where my hug at? No, I don't do that. Usually I ask for hugs to get used to hugging somebody because it just feels weird to me and awkward, like I'm not doing it right. You know what I mean? And so, there's that. And then there's the romantic loving, which I had no experience whatsoever. Physically speaking. Mentally, emotionally, I've felt that love for somebody, and that person has loved me. But I have also lost that person, and so at this time I'm dealing with the loneliness that I feel. As of right now, I'm dealing with that heartache that I feel as of right now. And I don't want to cling on to anybody. I don't want to get too close to anybody. And so that also became a huge barrier for me. And I struggle with hearing things like I love you or I care about you. And I call myself a bitch and I call myself a monster. And I just call myself a genuinely horrid person because that's how I feel. You know, I feel like I'm a genuinely horrid person. But props to Connie for telling me off. I was waiting for that. Personally, I was hoping she was going to do it soon because I was kind of mad at her because I didn't know what was going on. You know, and she doesn't talk to me about it. You know, she's lonely and I can't fix that. You know, I can't just drive up to Washington. If I could drive up to Washington, drive her ass back down here to Dallas and have her live with me, I would. But my mom would never let me go cross country that long by myself to pick somebody up that I don't know. But I wish that I could do that for her and I could hold her and tell her everything's gonna be alright. And I could be her wingman while she tries to go out and get girls or get boys or whatever the hell she's feeling like at the time. You know? I feel like I wish I could help her with that. And also with Darnell. Darnell's the guy friend I was telling you about. He's not a boyfriend. Oh God, no. That'll never happen. He's just not my type. I mean, you know, he's cute, but he's short and he's got facial hair. And I'm not big on my facial hair. But, yeah. If I could drive up and get them and come back down, I would. You know. I do anything possible to make Connie happy. And I do anything to make my friends smile. And that's always been a big part of who I am. Because I love my friends so much that I do anything for them. And it kills me that I can't expect the same common courtesy from them. That if I feel like I'm going down or I feel real vulnerable, I can't tell anybody, I can't talk to anybody about it because nobody wants to hear that shit. You know, nobody wants to hear you yelling and screaming through a phone, you know, losing your mind and crying and hollering. Nobody wants to hear that, but sometimes I need that too, you know. Last time I checked, I was a human being, and it's difficult for me to express that. Anyway, tomorrow I've got to do this project for my therapist that she wants me to do. I'm just going to have to get down and do it because I'm being lazy as shit and killing time and just not giving a damn. So my mom's going out of town, and I think that's good for her. You know, I think that she should go out and be who she's always wanted to be and not be held down by me because last time I checked, I am an adult. Now, it may be difficult to take care of myself, but I am still and will always be an adult. And so I just wanted to take time to point out the issues that I was having right now with my life and how difficult it is. And hopefully, guys, you start talking to me. We've got almost 200 followers on here and nobody's saying anything. And if I don't answer you right away, just shoot me an email at shars.dreamers@yahoo.com. And I promise you, I will get back to you as soon as possible. Okay? Have a good night, guys. Thanks for listening.